Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I'm Dr. Geeta Sachdeva, Assistant Professor, National Institute of Technology, NIT Kurukshetra. In this chapter, Organizational Culture, I will discuss with you functions and dysfunction of organizational culture, how employees learn organization culture, how to sustain organization culture, and how to change organization culture. Apart from this, there are some suggestions for changing organization culture to create a positive organization culture. Under this chapter, students will come to know about functions and dysfunctions, learning, how to change organization culture, and some suggestions they will come to know about to create a positive culture in the organizations. Firstly, I will discuss with you functions of organizational culture. The primary function of culture is that it has a boundary defining role, which states that culture assists to make distinctions between one organization and the others. Culture aids to generate a sense of identity for the organizational members. Culture makes easy the creation of commitment to something larger than one's individual self-interest. Culture supports the employee of the organization to provide main concern to organizational interest over and above their individual benefits. Next function is culture improves the social system stability. It is also recognized as a societal glue that supports to fasten the organization conjointly by providing appropriate criterions for what employees should say and perform. It offers a list of social do's and don'ts for the employees. Culture lastly provides as a sense-making and control device that directs and formulate the attitude behaviors of the employees of the organization. Each organization has its own set of positions, understandings and unspoken rules to guide the daily behavior of employees. The beginner will be acknowledged as wholly fledged members of the organization only when they find out to follow these rules. Conformity to the rule is normally the key basis for rewards and promotion. Thus, culture is useful to the organization as it improves the organizational commitment and boosts the steadiness of employees' behavior. Culture is valuable to the employees also as it lessens vagueness. Employees become extremely obvious as to how things are to be done and what is more vital for the organization. After the functions of organization culture, now dysfunctions of organization culture. Impact of culture on organization effectiveness is both functional as well as dysfunctional. Culture can conform to be danger to the organization as first dysfunction is barrier to change. Constancy of employee behavior is an advantage to the organization when it has a steady environment. But when the organization is dynamic, it will prove to be liability as the employees will attempt to oppose changes in the environment. Companies such as IBM, Xerox and General Motors have very strong cultures which worked fine for them in past, but these strong cultures only become barriers to change when business environment changes. As a result, organizations which have strong cultures which proved victorious in the past can escort to malfunction in future when these cultures do not go with the varying environmental needs. Next dysfunction is barrier to diversity. Strong cultures set a lot of pressure on employees to conform to accepted values and style of the organization. Even the new employees who belong to diverse race, religion, etc. is probable to conform to the organization's central cultural values or else they are considered to be out of shape for the organization. Strong cultures do not admit the truth that people from dissimilar backgrounds carry exclusive strength to the organization. Strong culture can also establish to be barriers to diversity when these support organization bias or when these become insensible to people who are unlike in one way or the other. Next dysfunction of organization culture is barrier to mergers and acquisitions. Culture can perform as barrier to merger and acquisitions. In the past, financial matters and product synergy only were measured to decide which company should acquire which company or which unit should merge with which firm. But in the latest time, there has been change in the trend. Cultural compatibility has become a prime apprehension while deciding about acquisitions and mergers. Positive financial statement or product line are of course the early traction at the time of acquisition, but an additional significant factor to be considered is how well the culture of two organizations match with each other. Next one is how employee learn organization culture. Employee learn the organization culture through the stories which flow through a lot of organizations. They generally comprise a story of events about the organization originators, rule breaking, rags to riches, achievements, reduction in the personnel, transfer of employees, responses to previous errors, and organizational handling. These stories anchor the present in the past and provide description and validity for future practices. Next way to learn organization culture is rituals. It refers to an practice or pattern of behavior repeated frequently in a pre-arranged manner. Key values of the organization, most significant goals and most important people are affected in rituals. Repeated activities assist the employees in learning the culture of the organization. Nowadays, in the education institutions, mainly the school, one of the practices which is religious followed by the student and the faculty member is to conduct prayers every morning. Next way for learning the organization culture is material symbols. Material symbols of a particular organization expresses to the employees the organization culture. Most significant material symbols are the designs of business headquarters, the kind of automobile the highest level of managers are given, the existence or absenteeism of a business aircraft, dimensions of the office, elegance of fixtures, executive prerequisites, dresses, attires, etc. These symbols express to the employees who and what is significant and the type of behavior that is suitable. Next one is language. Several organizations and units use language as a technique to identify members of culture or subculture. By learning this language, employees display their reception of the culture and in doing so help to defend it. The organizations sometimes build up their own terms which operates as a common denominator which bonds members of a given culture or a subculture. New employees are regularly weighed down with this language, but after maybe 6 to 7 months on the job, they also become completely element of this language. Example like cool, everything is fine, promo means promotion, MMB means Monday morning blues, etc. How to sustain organization culture? Once a culture is formed, there are practices inside the organization that aid to remain it alive. Some imperative practices which assist to maintain the culture are: first one is have an apparent vision, mission and value statement. It is critical that every employee knows and understands the vision of the organization and the values that it stands for. It should be trouble-free enough or made easy enough that everybody in the organization can comprehend them and get allied to them. The idea here is to get people actually occupied and dedicated to the culture. Logic and reason have their place, but initiatives like this, the emotions of the people have to be trapped, and a clear mission, vision and value statement serves as a big method to carry everybody on the similar page. Second one is select people who symbolize these values. No matter how brilliant a person is, the person does not have cultural fit in the organization. Oppose the enticement and do not make an offer. The people organization hire are representatives for cultures. They will be the instances for the next set of hires. Not only organization required to make sure that they hire, promote and reward people not just for skills or performance but for attitude and behavior that line up with the culture that organization want to promote, but also assist employees who are not aligned to be aligned or move them quickly out of the organization. When valued behaviors are not established, no matter where he or she is in hierarchy, there should be penalty that show that such behavior is no longer satisfactory in the organization. This is the significant to set up answerability. Next one is to understand culture is not only top to down, it is sidewise also. It does start at the top but it happens together, built through everyone's behavior and connections in the team or company. Culture is everybody's responsibility. Each employee in the organization should be walking the talk, walking it together, knowing sufficient to course correct if some action in the day-to-day operations of the organization does not fit the culture. Next is bring culture in when solving business problems. When organization have an furious customer or profitability issue or an association issue, that is the time to do a core reason investigation that also evaluates the problem based on what value was or was not used. Did we follow our culture? Were any of our values ignored? Based on what we stand for, what is the right thing to do now? Do we require to alter anything in our culture so that this problem does not appear again? These deliberations actually assist in strengthening the message. Next point in how to sustain culture is emphasis fewer on perks and more on building trust and respect. A cool office, a world-class gym, free food are all fine but not at all the major factors that will create an organization, an employer of preference or a make culture that builds both customer and employees happy. These are very short-term motivators only. Sufficient studies have been done to demonstrate that people want to work in an environment where they sense valued, respected or making an important involvement to a reason larger than themselves. So, generating a strong and healthy organization culture is more than providing a few services that give a pleasant lustrous surface gloss. Build trust and respect so that when one digs below the surface, one finds a strong and a healthy foundation for a great culture. Next point is socialization in sustaining culture. Socialization. The organization may have done an extremely fine job in recruitment and selection of the employees, but at times the employees are still not instructed in the organization culture. Since these individuals are not familiar with organization culture, they are maximum likely to upset the present organization to aid the new entrants adapt to this culture. The adaptation process is called socialization. Socialization as a concept consists of the following steps. First one is pre-arrival. This stage comprises all the education that occurs before a new employee enters the organization. Next stage is encounter. In this stage, the new employee observes what the organization is actually like and face up to the likelihood that reality and anticipation may diverge. Next stage is metamorphosis. In this stage, reasonably long-lasting variations take place. The new members gain the skill required for his or her fresh job roles and makes the modification to his or her work, values and customs. Next is changing organization culture. How to change organization culture. Sometimes an organization decides that its culture is adverse to the organization effectiveness and it has to be transformed. For example, if there is a transform in the external environment, the organization must readjust itself to the changing conditions or it will not stay alive. Though it is very hard to modify the old cultures, but it is something which the management cannot do without. When there is a need to change organization culture, when is the organization culture a problem? Organization culture is a problem when the way in which the organizations regularly operate puts obstacles in the way towards achievement. Some examples, for example, The objective of the organization require an external direction of the members, but the organization culture is characterized by internal orientation. Next example is like transparency is needed to be unstable and to function democratically, but the tradition to engage family members and to support them may make transparency unclear. Next, like productivity being directed toward goals may be delayed by the grown habits to interfere in each other's work, directing most of the energies to each other instead of the product. Next one is like the not outspoken rule not to interfere in each other's works may deter the perfect working process of sharing ideas, innovations, solutions and problems. And because of one-sided fixation on the ideology, pleasure of individual needs may be considered as prohibited. A grown stress on output may have led to the situation in which reflection is taken a waste of time. Organization culture is not the consequence of mere decision, but the result of a long-lasting process in which the attitude, beliefs and behavior of the people are steadily shaped. Organization culture, even if not impartially factual, is always a rational adjustment to a changed environment. Organization culture may be compared to coping mechanism, once effective in one specific situation, but internalized, unconscious, familiar, and hardly noticeable for the owner. Now, there are some suggestions for changing organization culture. For the change agent is a person who manages the process of change. He may be leader or manager or outside consultant. He requires modest aim combined with ambition, understanding the culture of organization and flexibility in strategy. First one is modest aim and ambitions. Modesty is required because changing the personality, that is soul of the organization, is very complicated. However, the organization or the leader of the organization as its change agent or a consultant assisting the organization its change, each of them has to be determined because they do not trust in this process of change, who else will? The change agent has to be humble and determined at the same time. That means inspiring and gratifying activities and person heading in the desired direction. Punishing people because they do not move rapidly is not very useful. Inspiring them in a constructive way is better. This is done by finding and motivating the healthy nucleus that survives in each organization. Next suggestion is understanding the culture of the organization. Organization culture refers to the personality of an organization. Next suggestion is understanding the culture of the organization. Organization culture refers to the personality of an organization. If the structure of the organization is the body, bone structure, feeding structure of blood vessels and the communication channels of nervous system, then the personality or soul is the way people deal with one another, the values and beliefs that live inside the organization. Restructuring an organization in order to attain a definite goal frequently falls short or gets stuck because the personality does not alter. Culture is defined as the collective mindset or the software of the mind because it is often complicated to explain what the personality is. Next one is the flexibility in strategy. Each and every organization requires a well adapted strategy to be capable to alter its organization culture. Tailor-made approaches are very essential. What is effective in this situation with these persons may be different from other situation with other persons. Apart from these, there are other general key factors for success to identify. Number one is whichever alternative is selected for a victorious strategy, it is imperative to make use of the existing strategy. Second element of a successful strategy is to keep in mind that support will be created by connecting people and giving them chance to examine themselves, examine what the problem is and what would be the final solution. Third element is like always take into thought the interests and needs of the persons which have to be motivated for the objectives of change. It is clear that change agents require a wide arena of strategies to attain the change objectives and that they have to be eager to incessantly regulate their strategies to respond to ever changing relations and circumstances. There are some more suggestions which can be considered for implementing the change. First one is The top management people should become positive role models. They should set examples through their own behavior. An employee learns the culture through stories, symbols, and rituals. The old stories, ritual, and symbols should be substituted by generating new ones which are presently in vogue. Adding new members, particularly at the higher level, is a powerful strategy to change the culture, provided the new members bring in the new culture. Next one is the socialization process should be redesigned to align with the new values. Reward system establish and reinforce specific cultural behaviors, and therefore a change in the culture can be initiated and supported by change in the corporate reward system. Unwritten norms and beliefs should be replaced with formal rules and regulations that are tightly enforceable. Next is extensive use of job rotation should be made to shake current subcultures. Change in the top management can have significant impact on others in the organization because he may be in real sense personification of the culture. Change in the culture will be comparatively easy if peer group consensus is got through contribution of employee involvement and formation of a climate with great level of faith. Next is creating a positive organization culture. A positive organization culture is defined as a culture that focuses on employee strength, rewards more than it penalizes, highlights individuals' energy development. Building on employee strength, a positive culture does not disregard problems. It does emphasize viewing workers they can take advantage of their strengths. As management guru Peter Drucker said, most Americans do not know what their strengths are. Employee must know about themselves and their inner strength. Second one is rewarding more than punishing. There is of course an occasion and place for punishment, but there is also a time and place for rewards. Though most organizations are adequately attentive on extrinsic awards like pay and promotions, they frequently overlook about the supremacy of smaller awards like admire. Creating a positive organization culture means that managers catch employees doing something right. Part of creating a positive culture is expressing praise. Many managers refuse to give praise either because they are frightened employers or because they believe that praise is not appreciated. Failing to praise can become a silent killer, like increasing blood pressure. Because employees usually do not ask for praise, managers generally do not understand the cost of failing to do it. Next is emphasizing vitality and growth. A positive organization culture highlights not only organization efficacy but person development as well. No organization will obtain the best out of employees if the employees see themselves as mere tools or parts of the organization. A positive culture understands the distinction between job and a career and demonstrates an interest not only in what the employee does, it has have assessed over thousands of organizations, fully 1/3 feel they are not learning and growing on their job. So in this chapter, we have come to know that organization culture as an intervening variable. Employee perform a general personal perception of the organization founded on the reason like amount of risk taking, team importance, substances of people. This whole perception becomes in consequence the organization culture or personality. These constructive or hostile perceptions then affect employees' performance gratification, with the influence being better for sturdier cultures. Like as individual personality tend to steady over the period of time, so too do strong culture. This makes strong culture hard for administrators to alteration. As a manager, one can shape the culture of working environment. Some of the important points of this chapter are: organization culture has some dysfunctions also. Organization cultures can be learned. Organization culture can be changed. Positive and sound culture can be created through some strategies. Thank you.